Hello Aries, my name is Keith Haswell. I'm a professional astrologer and I'm going to take you on a journey in this video into your cycles and predictions and events and conditions in your life for July and August 2014. So you just sit back and relax and enjoy the journey with me. And first of all, I want to run through a few things with you to tell you that you are a spiritual leader, Aries. You are a spiritual leader and a spiritual pioneer. Why do I say that? Well, just taking the Western world alone, there's only about 5% of the community who really believe in astrology. And you are one of those who believes in astrology. I'm going to help you through my intensives, through my CDs, through my written material, to help you to become more of who you really are. So you are really a pioneer. Now, you don't think of yourself as a spiritual leader, but the name of the game, Aries, is consciousness expansion. The name of the game is consciousness expansion, and you are ready to take a gigantic step forward in the expansion of your consciousness through my intensives, through my teaching, through my videos. And how do you grow and how do you expand your consciousness? Well, God and Goddess have given you certain gifts. And one of those gifts is the gift of eternal life. You can never ever die. Now that I would suggest is a fantastic gift. All of us love life. So all of us love life, and God and Goddess have given us the gift of eternal life. Another gift that they've given us is they've given us the gift to create all of the events and conditions of our life consciously, through conscious choice. Now, most of us don't want to do that. We don't want to accept that responsibility. We want to be able to blame. We want to be able to blame mum because she didn't do the right thing by us, or dad who didn't do the right thing by us, or that teacher who abused us, or that ex-lover, or that ex-spouse. Look, we want to try and blame others for our conditions and events in our life. We don't want to take responsibility. And so therefore we're creating our events either way, whichever way, when we don't accept conscious choice and we don't accept that responsibility of conscious choice, then we are giving away that power to our subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind, Aries, has no choice but to create the events and conditions in our life according to our raw materials. We all have the same raw materials. Nobody has anything different. And they are our attitudes, our beliefs, our thoughts and our feelings. And those attitudes and beliefs and thoughts and feelings sponsor certain decisions and choices. The prime mover here is choice. And so choices that we are making in our life determine the events and conditions in our life. And some of us are making subconscious choices there that are not very wise choices. In other words, we're clinging to the past. We're clinging to our child. We're clinging to our adolescent. We're expressing ourselves in our adolescent stage of our development. And we are clinging to our self-pity and our drug addictions and our alcohol addictions and our cigarettes and our self-pity and our fear and our anxiety and our self-punishing one and self-sabotaging one. Look, there's so many aspects of ourselves that are the not-self. And these aspects of ourselves that are the not-self are running the show. And collectively, all of those blockages and all of those negativities there within ourselves represent our negative ego. And the negative ego has been accustomed to having the power to observe things and to interpret what it's seeing, and then seeing you jump. How high, sir, you say. And so you're listening to that ego who wants to convince you that you'll never amount to anything, that you're not lovable, that relationships will never work out for you, you'll never achieve anything, you're not worth anything, and you're a lowlife, and so on and so forth. And it loves to see you wallow in that self-pity and that fear and that anxiety and that doubt and those insecurities. So it's time now for you to say, okay, enough. I'm taking back my power, Aries. I'm taking back my power of conscious choice. And it's time now for an expansion of that consciousness so that you understand more about God and Goddess. And the fact that they have given you this power to create your reality consciously, it's time to adopt that power and to make these choices more conscious. Well, how do you do that? You do that by changing the attitudes and beliefs and the thoughts and the feelings, the habitual patterns of thought and feeling that you have become enamored with. It's a matter of changing them by conscious choice, changing the direction of your conscious mind. We have 50,000 thoughts a day, Aries. So anyway, look, I don't want to go on forever here, but I'm very excited about what God and Goddess have given us. They've given us the gift of eternal life. They've given us the capacity to consciously create our reality in accordance and compliance with our conscious will and our conscious choice. And so many times we've got into bed with our negative ego so that we can continue to blame. We can continue to blame mum, we can continue to blame dad, we can continue to blame that ex, and so forth. Look, we're all suffering from health problems because we've got blockages inside of ourselves to the free flow of the energies that are going through us. We've got these chakras in our etheric body, and we've got the energies coming to us from the sun and from the earth and from the planets and so forth, and they are all giving us life. But if those energies of life are being blocked by these blockages there inside of our souls, then that creates difficulties like cancer and diabetes and heart disease and kidney problems and bladder troubles and knees that need replacing and so on and so forth. Look, I could go on forever about what we do to ourselves. It's a disgrace. So anyway, that's just enough, I think, of what I'm trying to say here. It's time for you, Aries, to take back your power. It's time for you to expand that consciousness of yours so that you're aware of what you're dealing with here in this space-time rule set. And that's what my intensives are all about. Okay, so what I'm going to do for you now is I'm going to give you the cycles that you're living through into the next couple of months, and I'm going to put it all on a timeline for you, okay? But first of all, let's have a little bit of fun together, and I'll tell you a few things about yourself, Aries. Now, you're a go-getter. You're an initiator. You're a person who likes to commence and start projects and ideas. And you've got the ability, you've got the enthusiasm, you've got the ability within yourself to be able to get stuck into things and to initiate and start projects. But you can be a little bit assertive and you can be a little bit dominant in your nature. And so that's something that you've got to work on in life. You do suffer from stress and you do suffer from tension because you can be a little bit impulsive, Aries, in rushing into things without thinking them through carefully and so forth. And you've got your fingers burned a few times, and no doubt you've possibly got a scar on the head or the face from a cut, burn or a scald. Now, as far as material possessions are concerned, you really do love the beauties of nature. You love walking around among the beauties of nature. You love things. You love material things. You like nice furnishings. You like a nice car. You like to possess things and own things, nice clothing and so on and so forth as well. So you are a possessive person, and you are a person who likes to own nice things, beautiful things. You use your hands quite a lot in conversation and communication, Aries. And you're a very enthusiastic type of person. But it's very hard for you to make up your mind on things sometimes. Your mind is wandering all over the place and you're not sure about what decisions to make and what choices to make and so on and so forth. You enjoy listening to music in the car, and you enjoy driving, and you're very communicative. You are there to put your point across and to express yourself and have impact through that expression. You're a very loving person, outgoing in your affections, and you're a very communicative type of person, but you've got a distinct sense of duality in your nature, mentally, and you feel at times as if there's two people in the one body there, and you're always split between two different courses that you can take. Now, you do love to live near the water, so at some time in life you'll probably live near the water, Aries. And you're a very home-loving person, very family-oriented, and in the latter part of your life, and also the early part of your life too, you just love to belong to a family. And you love to belong to a home environment where you can come home after work and put your feet up and feel as if you belong. Now, you do like to be the centre of attention in parties and social functions, Aries, and you really are quite lavish in terms of the social side of life is concerned. So you like going out to restaurants and places of amusement, and quite often you are the centre of attention there in those social functions. And you enjoy luxuries and things like that. You're ostentatious and a bit show-offish when it comes to getting to nice restaurants and nice places of entertainment and so forth. And you enjoy a lot of social activities with any children in your life as well, and you love them very much. Now, you're really very meticulous and careful with regard to exercise and diet. You possibly work in a job where you're doing clerical work, or you're doing bookkeeping, or any sort of work that involves the analytical side. You could find yourself working in a health-related field in some way. And as far as your spouse is concerned and your partner is concerned, you're attracted towards somebody who's very balanced in their nature. You're attracted towards somebody who gives you a sense of balance, somebody who's attractive. You love attractive people, and you like people who love music and dancing and things like that. So that's just a little bit about about your nature, Aries. Now let's get stuck into these cycles for you, eh? Now, Jupiter takes 12 months to transit through a particular house of our horoscope, and so you would normally think that in a 2-month period that there's not a great deal of change there from the last reading that I did for you for May and June. But in fact, there is a big change with Jupiter in your horoscope. Jupiter starts off in the 4th house of your horoscope, Aries, and that means that there's a great deal of love around the home. This is in the first part of July, and this has been going on for some time now in the last 12 months. You've had a lot of happiness there with the family and the domestic side of life, a lot of social activities. Perhaps a parent has travelled overseas or something like that in the last 12 months. There may have been a gathering of relatives, all sort of coming home to roost, and a family gathering and that sort of thing, if you're old enough to have your kids out there in the world on their own. And so they all might have come home to roost in the last 12 months, some big gathering. And a parent could have travelled overseas, you could have travelled with a parent, and there's been potential for a lot of social activities around the home in the last 12 months. But on the 17th of July, Aries, Jupiter changes houses into your 5th house. So this starts a whole new 12-month period for you. And when Jupiter is in the 5th house, it's a very good time for you for happiness through children, for expansion through children and having a child. It would be a very auspicious time for you to bring forth a child into the world. And it's a very good time for travel for you as well. So there's potential there during the next 12 months for travel overseas. And there's a lot of happiness for you through friends. If you're in the market for a romance, then certainly it's a very good time for romance and love matters to come to the fore. And there's a great deal of love being expressed in the social side of your life, Aries, with Jupiter there in the 5th house of your horoscope from here on for the next 12 months. Now Saturn is in your 8th house, Aries, and it's very slow moving, so it doesn't change in this 2-month period. It takes 2.5 years to transit through a particular house of our horoscope. And with Saturn being in the 8th house of your horoscope over the last 12 months or whatever, you have probably had the death of somebody around you. Not necessarily someone close, but someone that you know has probably passed away, Aries. And there's been a lot of frustrations and difficulties with joint finances, and there's been a lot of frustrations and difficulties in making adjustments and changes within yourself. You haven't been able to get that time alone and to introspect and reflect the way that you would want to. It seems as if there's always something holding you back from making those changes and letting go of those blockages and so on and so forth. So there's been a lot of frustrations in regard to sexual matters potentially there in the last 12 months or so, Aries. Now Saturn is retrograde at the moment, which means it's in an apparent backward motion looking at it from Earth, and it means that that's also impacting upon the 10th and the 11th house of your horoscope, which it rules. So that means that your career, there's been unhappiness through the career, business matters, dealings with government departments have led to a lot of frustrations, and there's been difficulties with the health of a parent, perhaps in that in the last 12 months or so. And there's been problems with friends as well. Maybe illness of a friend, could be the death of a friend, and problems with the health of other people's children, and frustrations in regard to group activities and club activities and things like that. So that's just a little bit about Jupiter and Saturn. Now we're going to go on to other faster moving bodies, Aries. The Sun, Mercury, Venus and Mars, and let's see what's in there for you for the next couple of months, eh? Now I'm laying this out on a timeline for you, Aries, which means that I'm telling you where these 4 bodies are at the beginning of the month of July, the 1st of July, and then I won't make any mention about those planets unless there's a change into a different house of your horoscope. And that takes us through, right the way through July and August to complete these cycles, okay? Now on the 1st of July, Aries, the Sun starts off in the 4th house of your horoscope. Now that means a lot of social activities around the home. There's a focus upon home and domestic matters as far as your personality expression is concerned. And you're probably wanting to entertain a little bit more around the home than what you would normally do with that sort of a placement. It's only a temporary thing. All these cycles generally only last for a month. And there's a bit of ostentatiousness around the home. Perhaps you put on a lavish function or something like that around the home with that sort of placement. Now Mercury is in the 3rd house of your horoscope, and Venus is also in the 3rd house of your horoscope to start off the month with. Now with Mercury being in the 3rd house, there's a lot more communication with relatives and neighbours. You're more expressive in putting your point across. You can entertain quite a lot of inner stress inside of yourself, trying to bring about changes within yourself through inner conflict, what you might say. So you're sort of all reflecting and thinking about things and so forth, and it can be tied in with motor vehicles. There can be a contract or agreement to do with a motor vehicle. Certainly there's a lot more communication going on anyway, and there's a lot more inner reflection as well. Now Venus in the 3rd house is going to lead you towards social activities revolving around the car. Also very good stars through relatives and neighbours on a social level. If you're in the market for romance, well then there's romance potentially there within your neighbourhood, and happiness through outings with friends and relatives and those that are close to you, like neighbours and so forth. That can lead to romance and love. But certainly there's a great deal more love with Venus there for your relatives, and more expression of affection and stuff like that. Now Mars is in the 7th house of your horoscope on the 1st of July, and with Mars being in the 7th house of your horoscope, that tends to bring a fair bit of stress and tension into your life in relationships, because your partner, any partner in your life, any spouse in your life, is going to be a bit more dominant in their nature and a bit more assertive in their nature with Mars there in your 7th house. So they're going to be a bit more assertive and a bit more dominant, a bit more trying to control you and so on and so forth. So you just got to probably back off a little and let them play their games of manipulation and domination and control, and don't try to precipitate it into a crisis situation, because it's only a temporary phase that they're going through there. Now the first change that we come to is on the 14th of July, Aries, when Mercury moves into the 4th house of your horoscope. Now when Mercury moves into the 4th house of your horoscope, it'll be there for about a month. And when Mercury moves into the 4th house of your horoscope, it means that there's a lot more communication going on in the home. So there's a lot more communication with parents, a lot more communication with people in the home. You'll also have a tremendous urge to curl up with a good book and to listen to my intensives, hopefully, in the home with that sort of a placement. So you want to be reading, you want to be studying, you want to be researching, you want to be investigating things around the home, so you'll probably be on the computer and researching things and so on and so forth with Mercury in the 4th house of your horoscope. A lot more communication with parents if they're not living with you, if they're living away. There'll be a lot more communication there potentially with parents. And then the next movement is on the 19th of July, when Venus also moves into the 4th house of your horoscope. Now that's going to bring love into the home. Venus is love. And when Venus moves into the 4th house of your horoscope, you're just going to want to love everybody. There's going to be a lot more contentment, a lot more peace and harmony around the home. You'll certainly want more music around the home. And there's going to be a great deal more social activities revolving around relatives and family. And so you want to be entertaining around the home when Venus is in the 4th house of your horoscope. And there's going to be happiness there through the family on social levels. And probably you'll be gourmandising yourself too, I would suggest, because Venus in the 4th house is going to activate your appetite, I'd suggest, and you're going to be wanting to eat all those rich foods and stuff like that. Now then the next movement is the 23rd of July, when the Sun moves into the 5th house of your horoscope, and it remains there for a month. The Sun is the only one that's constant. It stays there for 30 days or so in each of these houses, because it's the one that's moving constantly, and it doesn't go backwards or move at a different speed. It's constant all the time. So on the 23rd of July, Aries, the Sun moves into the 5th house of your horoscope and starts a lot more social activities. So that's a time to get out and about and circulate, form relationships if you're in the market for a romance, and enjoy the social side of life. You'll be wanting to get out to restaurants and places of amusement, and more so in that month. And there's a lot more involvements with children, too many children in your life, a lot more social involvements with them, and a lot more happiness and effervescence and activity going on there with your children. And then on the 27th of July, Mars actually makes a move into the 8th house of your horoscope. Well, when Mars is in the 8th house of your horoscope, first of all, you're going to say, wow, thanks, my partner is not so aggressive anymore. But Mars has moved into the 8th house of your horoscope and it remains there for some time. And it's going to activate your sex drive for a start, because the 8th house is also associated with the 8th sign of Scorpio, and that's a lot of sexuality there. So anyway, there's Mars in the 8th house brings a lot of activity through the joint finances, and a lot of stress and tension there potentially to do with joint finances. And there seems to be a fair bit of conflict there potentially with your partner about where to spend your money and so forth. Now then we've got Mercury moves into the 5th house of your horoscope on the 1st of August, Aries. And with Mercury moving into the 5th house, there'll be a lot more communication with children, a lot more communication and social activities revolving around people that you work with potentially. On the 13th of August, Venus moves into the 5th house of your horoscope, bringing a great deal more love into your social life. So it's a good time for romance to start and for relationships to start. It's a very good time for you through your children and for social involvements with children. And then on the 16th of August, Mercury moves into the 6th house of your horoscope. That's going to see a lot more communication with people that you work with and co-workers. And there's going to be a tremendous amount of affection being shown there towards the people that you work with and so forth. There can be interviews to do with a job if you're in the market for a new job. The 24th of August, the Sun moves into the 6th house of your horoscope, Aries. And that starts a period of activity there with regard to your employment and work. You can go for a new job. You're going to have a lot more social involvements with people that you work with in the next month after that. And that's as far as I go for you, Aries. Now look, where do you go from here, Aries? Well, where you go from here is to expand your consciousness. To be able to have your horoscope done by me means that you can look, I'm happy to do your horoscope number 1 free of charge, and that at least tells you where your ascendant is, so you can know which, not just to look at your sun sign for the next 2 months, but you can look at your rising sign for the next 2 months as well, and that'll be much more applicable. So if you know your time of birth, you're way in front. And you should be getting your horoscope done to find out what your ascendant is, so you can watch that video that's applicable to your rising sign as well. So I'm happy to do that for you free of charge. And when you put your birth details in through the Your Horoscope page of my website, you automatically get a whole bunch of goodies from me. You get 12 CDs out of my first book, What Really Matters, on astrology, meditation and reincarnation, to help you to expand that consciousness. That consciousness is just wanting to expand. Your soul and your consciousness are identical terms. The thing that confers consciousness upon you is your soul. And it loves you. It's an aspect of yourself, what you might say. It's part of the angel evolution. But it's a cooperative venture here between the angel evolution and the human evolution, and the soul is the one who confers consciousness upon you. Your spirit is the one that confers life upon you, and the spirit gives you that piece of God and Goddess that gives you all of the properties, all of the qualities and all of the powers of God and Goddess inside of yourself now. Your task is to recognize that fact and unfold those powers. And how do you do that? Consciousness expansion. That's the name of the game, Aries, is consciousness expansion. So get your birth details in there into my website, www.mysteryofsirius.com, and then I can send you the 12 CDs free of charge out of my first book. And people are raving about these. They send me emails all the time saying, Keith, these CDs are absolutely beautiful. You explain things that are so abstract and so deep in such terminology that I can understand and relate to. And so I'm happy to help you to grow and reach and stretch to become more of who you really are, because that's my job. I'm a spiritual teacher. And so, first of all, get your birth details in, get that horoscope number 1 done free of charge, and I'll send you all the list of all of my videos as well, so you can go through them as you please. And 125 videos I've done so far in the last 12 months or so, last 18 months. And now what else? There's horoscope number 2, which is only $10, and you get that. It's 20 pages all about you. Now, it's not just about your sun sign or your rising sign, which can be a generality, you think. It's something that's applicable only to you. There won't be another person born with the same horoscope as you for another 25,000 years, Aries. So you're quite an individual. Particularly if you know your time of birth. If you know your time of birth, it's vital to find out what your ascendant is, because then I'll tell you where all of your planets are in your houses. If you don't know your time of birth, that's okay. We do a different type of chart, and you still got those 12 planets there in the houses of your horoscope, or those 10 planets, I should say, somewhere in those houses of your horoscope. And that's what makes you different from other Aries. That's what makes you different, is that you've got the planets in different signs and different houses and in different aspect and relationship with each other. Someone born 2 hours different from you has a completely different rising sign. And so horoscope number 2 gives you an insight into your nature, what you're all about, your individual horoscope, and explained in 20 pages of what you're all about and what tests that you're facing in life. For the sake of $10, it's well worthwhile getting it done, Aries. And then if you want to go deeper and get predictions about the past and predictions about the future and your progressions and your major cycles and things like that, interpreted with my voice, then I'm happy to do that for you for the going price. It's God and Goddess of blessing. And I've got an abundance of love and enthusiasm for their plan for us. And so it's time now to get stuck into my intensives. They're free of charge for you. Intensive number 1, 12 CDs that'll change your life. And get horoscope number 3 done if you want to. And I'm happy to tell you a lot of things about yourself and where you're going in life and what's happened in the past. And what does that do for you when I'm telling you things about the past and they have happened? I get so many emails from people who've had their horoscope number 3 done by me, and they say, my goodness, that's 100% accurate on those things that you've told me about myself and my past. It's absolutely staggering. Well, that's a massive awakening of consciousness for you about the validity of astrology and validity about how much you're not doing the right thing by yourself by hanging on to those habit patterns of behaviour that you've become enamoured with, those addictions, those blockages, those negativities that we all have inside of ourselves. None of us are perfect, otherwise we wouldn't be here. Okay, so it's good to have this time to talk with you anyway, Aries, and get stuck into my stuff there, and let's have some fun together and watch you grow and reach and stretch to become more of who you really are. Thank you.